my name's Andy, and on today's video, we're gonna see if we can fix the exhaust leak that I have on my 1966 Mustang. In a previous video, I had shown you how to replace the exhaust manifold gaskets, thinking that that was the leak that I was having. And while those gaskets were bad, and I did need to replace them, I still have that leak, and I have since found, I think, the source of the leak that I have. So the first thing I wanna do is get these headers off of here, and then I'm gonna see if I can take them to a shop here in town and see if they can repair them, maybe weld that back up, instead of trying to maybe buy new headers. Let's just use the ones that we have in the car. So taking a look at the header here, if you can see on the screen here, how it's got this carbon deposit kind of black residue stuff right here on the top of these primary tubes. The other primary tubes don't look like that. They're all rusty and they look the same, except for this one right here. There's a lot of this black sooty stuff on the top, and that's an indication that we've got an exhaust leak coming out of here. Not only can you hear it and see it, when you put your finger right above this primary, you can feel the exhaust cast coming out. And I even took a string and just kind of dangled the string right over this edge here, and it started to dance it a little bit. And again, another giveaway that I've got an exhaust leak here. So we're gonna get these headers off and see if maybe there's any, hopefully there's no other leaks on these headers. So let's get them off the car. Okay, the first thing we're gonna wanna do is disconnect the header from the rest of the exhaust. And you'll wanna jack the car up for this. We've already got the car jacked up from a previous project, so you can go ahead and get after this right away. All right, the next step is to pull off the spark plug wires and get these guys out of the way. We may need to pull these spark plugs, but we'll see when we get that far if we need to do that or not. Now we need to take off the exhaust manifold bolts, get those out of the way. All right, now that was the last one. Now, well, it looks like we can just leave that manifold the gasket stick in there. But now we want to get this out, and we've got a couple things we need to address. First one is, it looks like, yeah, I might be able to sneak this down. No, we're gonna have to take that ZBar out. The bar that, the clutch, the equalizer bar. Yeah, it's hitting back here on that bar. I don't think we can maneuver this around to get this out. So let's get that bar out. All right, so I'm gonna try to show you, get the camera down in here, and so you can see those two 9/16 bolts holding that ZBar bracket in place. So we gotta loosen those up and pull that bracket out of there, and then we can get the ZBar off of the car and then get the headers off the car. I also went ahead and pulled out all of the spark plugs out of here just to give this a little more room to get this header out of here without having to hit those spark plugs. So now we got that bracket unbolted, and the ZBar right here is a little loose, but we still have to take off the spring that pulls the clutch back, and then we'll disconnect the clutch linkage and stuff from that ZBar so we can get that out of the way. All right, so there's the bracket. We got to clean this thing up. I've got new bushings and stuff for this, so we'll take advantage of this time and get this thing cleaned up. And for now, we can just kind of push this ZBar just out of the way while we're working on getting the rest of this header off of there. All right, now we can try to drop this header down the rest of the way and see if it'll clear out from underneath the motor here. There we go. Now we'll climb underneath the car and get the rest of it out. All right, so now that we got that out of the car, I made a comment before about how hacked up this thing is. It almost looks like a custom made unit. There's so many cuts and welds on here, but I think we found the culprit. Gosh, I don't know if you can see it. but you can see daylight through that. There you go. Yeah, you can see that. And there's just a pinhole on this one as well. So that's obviously the source of my leak. You shouldn't be able to see through your headers like that. And then again, I've already wiped it off with my finger, but this is that discoloration that I was talking about. And there's like a little bit right here on this one too. There was another giveaway. In fact, I don't know if you can see, but there's daylight through that one too. So I'm gonna call around town and see what I can find. Oh, there's some other cracks in here. I mean, this may not be worth salvaging. I don't know, I'll have to see what they say. You can buy, you know, there's those cheap $100 headers on the internet. And while it's $100, what's your time worth to try to hassle with them and get them to fit the car? I had asked online about what I should do with these, and a lot of guys said just get them fixed, because we know these fit the car, in which they do. So maybe $100 or even $200 to fix these, versus $100 for cheap new ones that you're gonna have to dent and ding to get them to fit, and it still won't be perfect. Then I gotta take it to a muffler shop and have them align this up with my existing exhaust. So I think those guys are probably right. Let's see if I can get this repaired, and if not, then we'll see what we can do after that. So let's see what happens. And while we're waiting for that header to get cleaned up and welded, I came back to the garage and took out the Z-bar, and then between this and the mounting bracket, both of these units need some cleaning up. There's also a bolt on the side of the bell housing that we need to get off. That's basically another one just like this. So we can clean this up, and then I got a new kit here. This is from Scott Drake, and this allows me to, I'll see if I need to pull this off the bell housing and put a new one on here. But for this side, the one that's in the bell housing, you get one of these, and then a retaining clip to hold on the edge here. And then on this bracket, we will do the other one of these felt washers, the nylon little spacer piece, and then a clip. So let's get all this cleaned up and get it ready. Also, this Z-bar is the regular style, and it gets really close to the exhaust manifold. So I picked up one of the hypo Z-bars. Actually, it goes this way. And you notice how the difference, this puts this roughly the same spot, but this bar right here is now, see how it's out of the way? And this is designed to clear more headers. So we'll see when we put this back in, if this is the bar that I need to put in the car. When I get the headers back, I'll take a look and see maybe this would be the better one to put in there, or we'll just reuse the old one. And so we just took this off the side. It's actually on the side of the block, not on the side of the bell housing. So this is the other end. So on the Z-bar, you've got this in there. This goes in here, and then the other one, the bracket that we have, goes on this end. And so I'm just looking at this. I can already tell that the felt washer that's supposed to be on here, this is off of the other bracket, is already missing. And then this thing's actually kind of flat and worn out, and so we are going to go ahead and just replace it with the new piece and put all this new hardware in while we're putting this all back together. All right, so I went ahead and loaded up the one that goes in the side of the block, and then once we thread this in, we'll use a 9/16, oh, not that one. We'll use a 9/16 wrench and thread this in, and then once it's locked in, then we'll put this felt washer on. And what we'll do is we'll do the same thing on this side, but we can go ahead and put that felt washer on right now. And put this on, and this little C-clip just goes over this, just like that. And there, and that is installed. And then what we'll do is, see this spins on here, as well as this side. When we put this back in the car, we've got some grease. We'll put some grease on here, and actually we can show that once this is in the car, this will plug into here, and it is a little loose, and that's okay. And then this one will go on this end, and we'll adjust this bracket in and out like so to push this Z-bar over, and so that it's in a way it's crushing this felt washer, not completely crushing it, but just putting enough tension on it so it holds it in place. And then it'll pivot on these plastic bearings right here. All right, we just got this back from, I took it to the muffler shop. I didn't even think about that when I was looking for a place to weld this. I was originally looking up fab shops and metal places and stuff that does welding to see if they could help me out. And I called a place and they asked me if I called a muffler shop, and it just completely escaped my brain that to take it to a place like that, to have them do this. So anyways, took it in there. He was able to fill in those holes, and there was a couple other cracks that he took care of. And I think we're looking a lot better here. We're ready to go ahead and put this back in the car and see if it works. All right, I'm starting to put the header back up underneath the car, and I just wanted to point out, so this is that new, right here is that new pivot point for the Z-bar, and I just put some axle grease on there, and right now the header is just resting against the flange of that. And then on the other side, we're gonna put this bracket with the more grease on it. We're gonna put that up inside here and put the Z-bar up here, put the bolts in, and start getting this in position. But we'll finish putting the header on, and then we'll attach the Z-bar at the end. All right, now we can try to put this header back on. I should point out that while I was down there, I was trying to hook up the Z-bar and the new hypo Z-bar that I got, and it actually wasn't working. The headers, these headers actually fit better with the old bar, with the stock Z-bar, and not the new one. So I'm just gonna go back to using the stock Z-bar and go from there. Okay, those are tight. Now let's go down below and finish up down on the bottom. Like I said before, I had to put the old Z-bar back in. The way this design is, the position of the bar where it is, you know, front to back of the car, not side to side, was actually farther forward, and it was hitting this pipe, so I had to go back to the old bar, which is fine. We know that it works. I just wanted to see if I can get more clearance by using that other bar. So now I need to tighten up that bracket up there for the other end of the Z-bar, and then we will tighten up the flange right here. When I was at the muffler shop, the muffler guy told me to use these type of flanges. They're a soft graphite gasket for the coupling here instead of those donuts that I had in there, which is fine. So we'll put those in there and get it wrapped up. All right, we got the Z-bar hooked up. Let's see if we can wedge this little gasket in between here. This might be a little difficult because of how tight of a fit everything already is. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and replace the other one on this side just because I have those donuts, so I'll do that real quick, and then I think we're ready to fire up the truck, or fire up the car. All right, the last thing we forgot to do was plug in the spark plugs. So let's put those in real quick. I already put them in the side, so let's just plug them in. Okay. Oh, let's fire it up and see if we still have a leak. All right, everything works. The ticking sound, or the telltale sign of an exhaust leak, I don't hear that anymore. In fact, you can hear the mufflers now over the sound of the motor, which is great. I did notice, heads up to anybody that's gonna do this, when you take your manifold in to repair like I did, because they're welding, they're adding heat to that flange, and that flange is gonna warp just a little bit. And in fact, the point where the flange actually shrunk just a fraction of an inch to where these header bolts were difficult to put in, and I was scared that I was gonna twist them off because I had to push them in so hard. Knowing what I know, maybe I should have drilled those holes out just a little bit more to give them a little more room or something, because they weren't that hard to put in before. So I think that was from the welding and heating up that flange. But everything's back in place, everything sounds good, everything looks good. And again, another win. Time to take it for a drive. Thanks for sticking with me. We'll see you in the next one.